Okay, we will go ahead and begin. This is the November 1st meeting of the Wakefield Commission on Disabilities. One more person is joining. How are you? It is 7:02. We'll call to order the November 1st meeting of the Wakefield Commission on Disabilities. If we could, we don't have Lois with us tonight, who usually has the flag, so we're gonna go without the flag, but let's go ahead and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Oh, Lorna, thank you. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our mission is to address the needs and concerns of our disabled residents and provide their full participation in the activities and services of Wakefield. And I see that we have Bill Renaud, who joined us this evening. Thank you so much. And I'm sure you're joining us to give us an update on the accommodations for town meetings. So correct. I will let you take it away.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, so you know that we received a comment or some requests for accommodations for town meeting from a resident with a hearing issue. So we've actually coordinated to have an offsite cart service provided to folks at town meeting. So what we'll have is essentially it'll be a website that you can either use on your cell phone, or we'll have a couple of tablets that are there as well. And then we'll have a few cards that are available too with a QR code. So you can just scan it to get to the cart services being provided. So that's our game plan for town meeting. We also have one article that's planned for town meeting as well, to change the commission's name officially to the Commission on Disabilities. So I wasn't sure if any of the commission members wanted to present that, if you would like me to. I don't expect it to be much. I can give you the script, but basically you just move the motion, explain why you want to change the name, and it should be maybe a minute tops, I'm thinking, but I'm happy to do it. Or if somebody else would like to, they're happy to take the microphone, as they say.
Lorna, any interest?
Wow, don't all jump out at once. Come on.
I'm fine with you doing it, but I will be there. So if something changes, you know, I'm happy to step up. I will have some background information, probably the same information we gave you as to why we wanted to change it. So if there are any questions,
yeah, sounds good.
That's what I'll be going with.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit? So you talked about the cart accommodation, but there are going to be some other accommodations, even those may be carried over from the prior changes that we made at town meeting. Can you just discuss those for the folks that are new?
Yeah, so we do a listening device that's there as well. So that's basically standard issue. We've done that for the past couple of town meetings, maybe 3 or 4 of them. We're also going to have a table outside for folks with some mobility issues. So if they want to stay outside, they don't have to come into the building. That'll be provided as well. And I think that's pretty much about it. I mean, for services that have been requested at this point. So that's typically what we've done in the past. And aside from the cart services, that's kind of the add-on for this year.
Okay, we're making progress. Every town meeting, we're, adding a little bit more. So I think that's awesome. So for Katie and Kristen's purposes, there are 2 newest members, and we'll get to introduce you shortly, but I just wanted you to know that Bill is the town's engineer, but he's also the town's ADA coordinator, and he joins us on occasion to give us updates on what's going on, and we work very closely with him for, to provide him support when he asks, or if items are brought to our attention, we coordinate that with Bill. So I just wanted you to know who he was.
Welcome aboard.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the motion. I'm going to request a motion for the approval of the October 4th meeting minutes. Would someone please make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve
you,
the
Paula.
minutes from the October 4th meeting.
Thank you. And Lorna second. Okay, thank you very much. Lois is out this evening, but she did provide me the financial information, and there's no change, excuse me, from previous. So next on the agenda is we have 2 new members, and we're so excited to welcome you, Catherine Katie. Is that how you like to be referred to? Staddy, did I pronounce that correctly?
It's Stady. So the tiny funny thing, I was Katie my entire life, so feel free to call me Katie, but then I married Stady and then it rhymes. So I usually introduce
you.
myself as Kate only for the humorous rhyming piece of my name now, but you can call me anything. Catherine, I usually just I don't go by, so it just doesn't occur to me.
Right.
But thank you all. Nice to meet everybody.
And I should state, which I didn't at the top of this meeting, is that our meetings are recorded. And we're using closed caption, just so you know. And then we also have Kristen Bardall.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kristen, how are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Welcome, you both. Do either of you have any desire to talk a little bit about your background and why you joined the commission? If you're not comfortable, perfectly fine with that.
That's fine. I'm a physical therapist. I've worked in the field for 23, 24 years, and I just felt like it was a time to start trying to do something to contribute to the community. So I felt like it was a really good fit, and hopefully I can add a different perspective. I don't know if there's any other healthcare providers in the group, but yeah.
You have a colleague.
Yeah.
I am also a physical therapist. I have worked for about 17 years. So at this point, I'm out of the clinical field. So this was a way to just keep working within, what I know and give back a little bit. But yep, fellow PT.
Know who to call when our back goes out. Thank you both. And just so, I don't know, the rest of us, we probably should just go around and, just a little. I'm Marie Ray. I'm a parent of a 25-year-old son with Down syndrome, and hence my desire to be on the commission and promote acceptance and inclusion here in Wakefield. Somebody else want to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Oh, I'm Lorna Davidson Connolly. I'm another co-chair with Marie. And I have a son who's actually 44 years old who has an intellectual disability. I'm also I worked with and for the deaf community for over 30 years.
And Levon?
My name is Levon Coughlin, and I'm a special educator, and I also have a child with special needs, and I joined the commission last year, and I love it. It's a great
We'd love
commission.
to have you. Janice?
Janice Mirabassi. I'm the newest person before you all joined, and Bella as well, who's new. And been in Wakefield about 34 years, and at the Department of Public Health for 36 years. And I do a lot of work with the disability programs there. And I was the parent of a child with a disability, but he's no longer living.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Hmm.
I'm just going to go in the order that I see you on my screen. So Paula?
Hi, I'm Paula Townsend, and I work at Communitas, which is also located in Wakefield. And I've had and I also do some consulting with the ARC of Massachusetts. And so just felt like I had a lot of information about the disability world and was interested in seeing it from a different perspective and seeing how I could help out my community.
Thank you. Darcy?
Hi, everybody. I'm Darcy Burns. I actually have a doctorate in special ed. I run a nonprofit organization that partners with school districts focused on early literacy. So, and I've been on the commission a couple years, and it's a great way, I feel, to give back to the community. And a
Thank
little
you.
bit more manageable than the school committee that I was on.
Just a little.
So, yeah.
And Bella?
Hi, I'm Bella Schwartzberg. I am liaison from the Youth Council. I'm a junior at the high school, and I just really felt that I wanted to learn more about this part of the community in Wakefield. I feel that like I haven't really learned as much as I should, so I just wanted to get involved.
Thank you. So as you can see, we have a really diverse committee here with some really people with some very interesting backgrounds. And this is the largest number of committee members that the commission has ever had that I can see going back. And yeah, I just think it's great. I think everybody just brings a lot to the table. And you know, we've made a lot of progress in the few years that I've been on the commission. And we're missing one member, Lois, who started this commission 30 some odd years ago. And she is visually impaired. And so that was her motivation. And so, yeah, along with everybody, it's really a diverse crowd. And looking forward to this year. And hopefully we can get a lot done. We'll talk about some of the things that we have going on. As Bill had mentioned, the commission is officially called the Commission on Disability Issues. And we had some conversation about that a while back and decided that the word issues really presented a negative connotation. And so we wanted to go forward and change the name. And of course, it took us a little bit to figure out what it was we had to do to make that happen. And because the town council, or probably the selectmen at the time, approved the establishment of this commission, at town meeting, it's town meeting that has to give us the authorization to change the name. So if you noticed in any of the articles in the paper or online, you'll see that article number 8 is the commission's name change. And so Bill is graciously going to present that for us at town meeting. And then, you know, those of us who were there, if any questions come up, we'll be there. Not much to say, right? It's what I just explained, but we'll be prepared if we need to be.
Yep.
Bill just updated us on the ADA accommodations for town meeting. Really things picked up in earnest at the last town meeting when somebody came forward who had a hearing impairment and expressed concerns about not being able to hear at the town meeting. So last town meeting, they added some big screens so that people could be inside or outside. The screens are outside as well, and see and sit up close if you needed to be able to do that in order to read lips if you couldn't hear. And Bill has been publishing several weeks prior to each town meeting a notice to the town for requests for accommodation. So if people do have a need, they just need to contact him with that need, and obviously the town will do their best to accommodate.
Yep.
We also talked a while back about having a banner made, and we held off doing that because we wanted to wait till we got the name change so that the banner would be accurate. And the purpose of the banner is so that we can get out and be at some events we missed a lot of things just between COVID and just the delay with getting the name change, but Festival by the Lake could be a place where we could set up a table. What's the thing on Saturdays that they have down at Hall Park?
Oh, farmer's market?
The farmer's market, right. And whatever other activities, that they're going to have that when they shut down downtown. We just need to figure out what it is we want to do there, right? Do we want to hand out something? What would the handout be? Would it be a brochure? And we'll talk about it. We need to talk about that in more detail because we want to be able to pin that down. But at least now with the name change, we'll be able to officially go out and get the banner. And I think we're just going to go to the T-Stop down in Greenwood and order it from Rod there. And we do have some money. The commission gets funded by parking tickets that are issued to those who violate the handicap parking. And that whatever funding they get goes into an account that's earmarked for us. We have about $14,000 in there. So, we should start to use it for some items that come up. So the next item on the agenda is the post office front door entrance. And Levon had come forward at our last meeting. Someone had approached her with a concern that the front door to the post office was not accessible. So Levon drafted a letter and we sent it by the commission email to the Wakefield post office. And I've followed up with them a couple of times, and certainly the local folks are very receptive to making that change. We're recommending an automated door, but certainly open to suggestions if they have something else that they prefer. They already have an automated door, interestingly enough, at their back entrance. So there's a ramp, I guess, out their back entrance, and then they have an automated door that allows the postal folks to take their carts filled with mail and roll them through to load up the mail trucks. So, but as we all know, this is a government agency, and while the local folks are very receptive, they've got to go up the chain to get approval. And I don't know what that is going to entail. And my suspicion is, again, because they are a U.S. government agency, that they're probably going to have to, that they probably can't do the change or the repair to the door themselves. They're probably going to have to send it out to bid. And you probably know this, Bill, is better than I. And then they have to get 3 bids and they have to choose whatever the best value. So I'll be surprised if this doesn't take a while, but we'll just keep in touch with them, and hopefully there is no pushback up the chain, especially when they've already done it once. They've got a door there exactly as to what we're suggesting. So hopefully this doesn't turn out to be a major production. So a couple of meetings ago, we asked each commission member if they were interested, if they wanted to be a liaison to one of the other boards in town. And at some point we should publish that. I know Levon has it in the meeting minutes. I don't have that information off the top of my head, but Lorna, you have listed that you attended one of the meetings. COA, can you please remind me what that stands for?
Council on Aging.
Aging, correct. Okay, thank you.
So I attended what was supposed to be a meeting back a few weeks ago. And actually it didn't turn out to be a meeting because there wasn't a quorum there. I think this Wednesday I've been invited to another meeting. But one of the things that came out of it that they had given me information for, and if anybody has the opportunity to go on to their website, the Council on Aging website, because they have a whole mission set out for community of aging in the community of Wakefield, and how they have, excuse me, listed various goals and who they would partner with to get these goals accomplished. And several of the, well, maybe a few of the goals actually would also benefit anybody with a disability. So they're looking for maybe us partnering with them on some of these things. So if you have the opportunity, go on and read the aging. How did they?
So this is on the Council on Aging's website, which is on the town website, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay, and they have a mission about aging in the community.
Right. So this it was very, very well done and very well thought out, and you know, different areas like you know, a lot having to do with, of course, mobility, the sidewalks, the streets, crossings, a lot of that, of which, of course, people with mobility disabilities or someone who has a vision loss that needs assistance, perhaps in walking in some areas. All these, some of these things would all also intertwine with disabilities. So that's all I really have to report now, because it really wasn't a meeting. So I just suggest that you go on the site and I'm trying to remember exactly how they worded it. So I am actually just going to stop my video and gonna pull up theirs, and then I'll come back in and tell you.
Sounds good.
I don't know if while Lorna's looking for that, if this is a good time to interject. I had talked about joining the planning committee or going to some of their meetings. That was when my understanding of the planning committee was very different. So I don't think that it was going to be helpful for me to be on that committee. So I knew that there was a committee that we didn't have a liaison for, but I looked back through my notes in the minutes and I could not find it. So I'm definitely willing to be a liaison. I think the planning committee, there's not, I thought there was a need for a voice of for people with disabilities, but turns out that's not the case. So I'd be happy to join another committee.
All right, we'll take a look at, we'll go back into the meeting minutes to see what we had listed. And I mean, and people don't, there's no obligation. It's just if you have an interest. You know, there are a lot of committees that we could probably be useful to have a voice on. I was thinking that we should probably stay in, I'm sorry?
Zoning board, maybe? Zoning Board of Appeals?
Zoning board. Janice, that's the committee that you have taken? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking we should stay on top of the Voc building, because I'm assuming that, you know, there could be some input there.
That's the permanent building committee.
The Voc would be the permanent building committee? Okay.
Yep.
So they deal with other school buildings as well.
All
So that'd be-
buildings, yeah, all buildings in town, so.
Yeah, so that'd be a great liaison to have. it would be great to have a liaison to that committee.
That committee, okay.
Maybe I can take that up and at least find out more about it instead of the planning board. Unless
That may
anybody
have
else
been
is.
what you were thinking of, Paula, too.
Oh, right.
And when you said planning board, it may have been more along those lines. Because when I think of VOC, I think of not only accessibility physically, I'm thinking just accessibility in general for the special education population. Now, back in the day, they had a program, something buildings and grounds, and I don't know that they still have that program in their brochure or document that they use to describe all their different programs. They made it sound like it was geared towards individuals with some intellectual challenges. And we had a young man from Wakefield who was very hands-on that had Down syndrome, that decided to try out that program. And it was a disaster. They did not provide appropriate supports for him, and he was not successful there. And he should have been, and no one was held accountable. And so that's sort of what I'm thinking when we talk about, accessibility over there. Wakefield's, we're paying for students to go there. I think they pay per student, but they should be offering more programs there for that population of students. Janitorial programs, those are some of the programs I think that that the VOC should be seeing, should be offering there. But I guess that's on the, that's on the list to keep our eye out for. But, I don't know that that's something that we're going to bring to the forefront right now to advocate for, unless it comes up for some reason. But we probably just need to proceed with what we've started and finish some of these things. And then that can be something we could think about to pick up.
Marie, when
Yes.
students go to the VOC, is there an application process, or are students just entitled to go?
Nope,
If they're from one of the contributing towns?
I believe there is an application process that they have to go through. I don't know what the requirements are, but this young man that I'm speaking about got accepted. So for that particular program, he had met the requirements.
They
have their own school committee. They have their own school committee. That might be where we would go to if we want to work on that issue.
You're right, they do.
I have a son who's a freshman there, and the application process was much more rigorous than I thought it would be. They turned away 500 students this past year for the incoming freshman class.
Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised, because I think that I think vocational training is becoming really popular. And what I'm seeing is, before it was either you were on the college track or you went into a vocational program. Now it's more, they go into a vocational program, they get a hands-on skill, then they go get their degree to supplement that skill. And in some cases, so that opens even more doors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, Kristen, maybe you could guide us to where it's probably called a program of studies or something that they probably even have it on their website that lists all the different programs that they offer.
Yep. Yeah, I'll do so. There's like 100-page document on the website that I've read through a few times, so I can dig into that too.
Yeah,
I do offer special ed services there as well.
They do offer special ed services. I knew that.
But the vocational side and the job training be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to how much support they're required to give. Because if there's a, I don't know what the application entails, but let's say that if there's some kind of an IQ test, or I don't know how they can't be discriminating. I mean, obviously they have their criteria for choosing, but they can't be discriminating. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know that that's a can I personally want to open at this point, but it's a bone of contention. And I think at some point, especially now they're building the new school, that's sort of what got me thinking about that.
It would seem sensible to me that for them to have a track specifically for people with developmental disabilities and, intellectual and developmental disabilities. It seems like it would be a really smart option for folks. So I'm thinking of the young people that are now working in Melrose at Biddy and
Bose.
And so they certainly have a food services program at the Voc. And is there a part of that could be preparing people to work at restaurants? It's and there certainly would be a lot of reasons to have a track. It just, let's work on that.
Yeah, that may have to be a mission.
Yeah, they have a great culinary program from what I know. I know that I've seen them at a couple of different places, and all the students will make some fantastic desserts or appetizers. But the experience that I've had with, they have not been families from Wakefield, but member towns whose children have gone there and had intellectual disabilities. It was similar to what Marie was describing, just really unsuccessful. But I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And it could just be another option. I think it's always best when people have different choices. They don't just have one thing or the other. So yeah, I like that idea.
Okay, so the next item is,
Wait just a second.
oh, go ahead. You have something. Go right ahead.
That action plan that the Council of Aging had developed is called Age Friendly Action Plan, and it's on their website.
Okay. Okay, we'll definitely want to check that out because we'll want to see how we might be able to partner
Yeah.
with them for some of their mission.
Yeah, and I think it's this Wednesday night. I got to check my calendar. That they hopefully I will have a quorum and have an actual meeting, and hopefully I'll remember to attend.
I know how that is. So while you have the floor, Lorna, why don't you go ahead with the traffic sign on Middle Street in Greenwood? And just to bring some of the new folks up to speed, we've been approached twice now. Well, we've been approached a handful of times from residents or business owners that have requested handicap parking spots near their residence or business. And in two instances, we had families who had children with this young child is deaf and the other young child was autistic, and they wanted some signage in their neighborhood to signify that, because there were safety concerns, with the kids not having a sense of cars and just running out in the road, and they wanted people to be aware. So we've got Bill on the phone. I'm on the line here, Lorna.
So finally, the one that asked for a sign for their child who has autism, a sign finally appeared
Okay.
And it said, autism with the autism ribbon,
Mm.
child slow or something like that. So we requested the same sign for this child who has a hearing loss in Greenwood.
Right.
And I thought that we were going to get the same sign for this child with a hearing loss as the child with autism, except for what we got was the symbol for a wheelchair with a little placket underneath that says deaf child.
Yep. Yeah, understood. So I think I had sent you some information on that. The sign that was installed was incorrect. So I told my staff, well, the highway division is to go back and to basically that'll be the sign that we install for any issue. So we use the plaque at the bottom as to notify what the issue is, and then the handicap symbol, that is the warning sign that's in the
Well-
MUPCD. So the other one that was provided, just so you know, was something that was provided by, that was purchased, at an incorrect place. The type of metal's not the right metal. There's a bunch of reasons why we replaced it.
Which sign did you replace? The sign that says autism
Mhm. We
child?
replaced- Yep, and we did the deaf child sign too. We did both of them. We ordered both of them at the same time, and I had the folks replace both of them at the same time.
Oh, I didn't realize that the autistic sign was replaced as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad because, this is really what you've posted, and I know this is not your fault, Phil, by any means. Is that now we have what supposedly the universal sign for any disability is that icon of a wheelchair.
Yep.
So now
Yeah.
you look at it, it says somebody's in a wheelchair. Oh, not only are they in a wheelchair, but they're deaf too, which is wrong.
Well, it's not intentionally just that they're in a wheelchair, right? I mean, right? I mean, that's the handicap symbol, right? So.
Actually, well,
It's
I'm not
really,
even gonna get into
it's
that.
really
And it's
mobility.
backwards,
symbol.
too.
That's
Yeah.
really mobility disability symbol.
Exactly.
It's not, because if somebody has an intellectual disability, you don't have a wheelchair sign to describe them. They could be completely mobile.
So
Right.
I guess, where do we go to the state to? Because I think this is really, it's an issue that I find very offensive, that everybody should be thrown into this one icon.
The intent is that you don't have, so it's in a book that's called the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices, right?
Right.
So
right,
that's so
right.
that we don't have a series of anybody installing any type of sign, any color, so that people understand what they mean. Because if we didn't have something like that, then basically every community would have a different type of sign. You wouldn't know if it's a one-way, a stop sign, all those things. It's looking at all of it holistically.
Well, we had before signs that were always the same shape, but with a specific disability that was on it.
Right, and
For
so
always
those,
the same shape and always the same color, but it
no,
would say what the disability was.
yeah, understood. So, there were studies, and I believe I forwarded it to you, Anne Marie, that, the installation of these things, that we don't want to do them everywhere, because in theory, drivers are supposed to be reacting to anything that's there. So you don't just say in one location that that's what you use. As for the piece with the wheelchair, if you look at any type of handicap spot in town, right, that's, if you have an intellectual disability and you still can walk, you still can get a handicap placard, right? And you would park in a handicap spot. Of course you can. It's universal. It can be elderly. It can be a bunch of different reasons why you get a handicap placard,
No.
and right. So it doesn't
Well,
necessarily mean
most
that you
people
have.
with intellectual disabilities aren't driving, so.
No, but they might be in a car and someone else is driving them and they have the placard, right? So I mean that happens.
I don't know.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
Well, I've
I mean,
seen it, so
certainly
I
I
know.
understand if they're, a transporting van,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can understand that, transporting van that has people with different disabilities. Some of them may be intellectual, all of them could be intellectual, but they also may have some mobility issues too. I can understand where the van would be able to park there, but don't know of anybody, at least in the communities that I know of with children or offspring or whatever with intellectual disabilities that have placards for their cars just because their child has an intellectual disability.
I mean, I know somebody that does, so that's where I'm getting it from. It's a family member that had it. That she's long gone. She passed away maybe 5-6 years ago, but yep, they had a handicap placard, and yep.
And the
She
person
didn't have another
any-
disability?
No,
There
no
wasn't nothing I'm
mobility.
aware. I mean, she was a family member. I thought I would have known about it, but yeah. So
No,
I
sometime,
just assumed based on my experience that was allowed and other folks have them, and that's just your standard location and the standard symbol. That's what I've been told. But so it's clear that obviously the group is not a big fan of the sign. That I'm picking up on that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So let me
Right,
take a
and
look.
it's
and do
not
it
your
again.
fault because you
No, it's not
only
your
can
fault at all,
choose
Bill.
from what you have to choose from that manual, and we get that. So this is a bigger issue.
Yep.
This manual, is this state manual
Federal.
or is this, it's federal?
Federal. So what happens is you have the federal version of it, and then the state adopts some changes to things to allow certain things to happen. So, but it's silent on the handicap signage. So that means it revert to the federal rule. There are certain things that they do change, like for school zones and stuff locally, or at the state level. You know, like specifically, they don't want you to install slow child signs. Like that's a good example. They don't want those to be used. There's a lot of them where you get mixed messages and people have to read more than they, that you try to symbolize most of this stuff so that folks that can't read can also understand what's going on. I mean, that's part of the reason that signs are made the way they are now. So that's part of it too. So there's a bunch of reasons why it's done. It's not just to be difficult by any stretch, it's just to be consistent across the board. And while other communities may not do that,
So does each community have an option of not using the manual uniform code? They can do their own thing in a town if they so choose?
Nope, no, you're not really allowed to. No,
Okay.
you can. And there are a bunch of different rules and things have changed with like street signs are a good example. You may look at the different types of letters. Some used to be capital. Now it's a combination of lowercase and uppercase. There's, sizes of signs, all that stuff changes. So we have to sort of be on top of all that and update when we're told by certain timeframes. So, the issue for me is that we have to also maintain them, right? So, we're also mandated to have a sign replacement program. So it's not just install a sign. We also have to make sure that you can see them at night and there's the retroreflectivity. There's other pieces of it. And we have to have a game plan to replace all these things.
How
Which is something
often now
we've
they
done.
have to be replaced?
Well, typically what you do is, the way we're doing it is through expected sign life. So it's a 15-year cycle. And so what we
And
do
then
is we
the
divide-
children are adults.
Yeah, well, in that one location, but also these things happen, they go up and then they don't get taken down. I mean, you can see those all over the place too.
Right, so that child moves and the sign is still there, yeah.
Yeah, and that used to happen a lot
Bill,
with the cases in front of folks.
Sorry.
Okay.
Did the family provide any feedback about the sign? Did they like the sign, or has anyone talked to the family?
I didn't hear anything. I don't know if
Well,
anybody.
I talked to the family. I think she's kind of just resigned that she was lucky, I guess, to get anything. So
I don't like
she's
that.
not overly distressed about it because something finally went up. It's
But
my issue.
now I'm concerned about the family with the autistic sign, because I think they
know it.
really liked their sign
Yeah.
now, and now it changed.
I mean, you're happy to send any residents my way, and if it's a real issue and something you wanted me to look at going forward, I can. I mean, again, you get my opinion on how we should handle
Right,
this.
we appreciate that. We kind of,
Yeah.
we hear your hands are tied, but we are communicating. We're not happy with the choices that's being offered. So there again, if we're talking federal level, it's not that we can't do any research to see, but yeah, those feds need to be educated on this, that is just like, that's not okay.
Yeah, they used to change them pretty often, but I don't believe the last change was back in 2012, or so. It's been a while since they've changed it. But what they do is they go through it's a bunch of engineers that sit on a board, representatives from each state, and then there's some federal folks too, and then all the modifications go through this committee that makes the changes. And so, that includes a bunch of things that you may see, for different types of signs and different types of payment markings. It's all part of the same group and the same folks that do that.
Well, it doesn't prohibit us from, can you get, like,
Hmm?
committee have a website or, I mean, we
Yeah,
certainly,
I'll research it and get it to you. Sure.
all right, because we certainly can write a letter that, it may, just expressing our concern. That's something, can't fight City Hall, but,
Yeah, and you could also ask the state to change the state MUTCD. So the state has one as well. So they basically, anything that they want to change from the federal level, they get to do. So that probably would be the better route, whoever
Yeah.
handles that at the state level. So let me research who that is, and I'll get your contact for writing a letter, for sure.
that would be great. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Bill. Thank
No
you.
problem. No problem.
But in the meantime, thank you for getting the signs up because, the families had legitimate concerns and at least we've got something there.
Okay.
Okay. So, Lorna, closed caption. I'm not sure what it was we were going to discuss in regard to that.
I have no idea. You had added it to what you wanted to bring up at the meeting, so I just added it on the agenda.
Okay, well, maybe it will come to me between now and the time we end, but what I'd like to do
Did
is.
it have
focus-
anything to do at all with the town meeting or?
That
Maybe
seminar?
that is
Oh,
the card.
Oh, I think it was you're going to ask to see if the meetings, when they're listed, are, especially if they're on Zoom, if it's noted that they're closed captioned. Was that it?
It's on this right now. Yeah, it's on right now.
It's on
No, I
this,
know, but I
but
mean, Friday, there was the announcement in the paper that Monday's meeting of the commission was going to happen at such and such a time, at such as at that time, should it say that it is closed captioned?
That's a question.
I mean,
Yeah.
does anybody know that, it's a closed caption, and unless you get onto the site, does a person know prior to it that, oh, I can go onto the site and it's going to be, click on it, it'll be closed caption.
Mhm. Yeah, typically the meeting notices should have something in it that lets folks know that if they need, if they want the closed captioning or if they want to, have a type of accommodation, that they would contact me to let me know to provide that for them. Typically, that's
No,
how
I-
it's done.
yeah, and
I
it
think I'm
says
talking about
that.
the Zoom meetings. They're all
Yeah.
closed captions, aren't they?
No.
All
No,
the Zoom meetings aren't closed captioned?
no. Yours is. I've seen it on here, but most
Yeah.
of them don't have it on there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking
Really?
at the actual meeting notice that Sherry sends out and it's, she has language there. Wakefield provides reasonable accommodations and or language assistance free of charge if you are a person with a disability and require info and materials, and she gives Bill's name. So she has it on our meeting notice for sure.
Yeah, and I believe it's, let me check.
But ours is normally closed caption. A person just has to go in and go to the bottom of the screen. It says live transcript. It has the CC for closed caption.
Right.
If people don't know that that's there automatically, they might not come into the meeting. But
Gotcha.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Even though that's, announced in the newspaper, they might not go to the meeting even though they'd like to because they didn't know it's closed captioned.
Right.
But I'm
That's good.
surprised. So all the other meetings, all the other commissions and boards and everything else are not closed captioned?
No, they're not. There's a
It's
lot
on-
of them. That are not.
Just
That
on
needs to
request.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking
That
at most of the notices. I mean, they're not on every notice, that the whole piece about contacting me
Okay.
for an accommodation that's on this meeting, on the
Right.
Commission on Disability Issues or Commission on Disabilities now. It's on your agenda, but not on the other ones.
Hmm.
But we also have that seminar that we were talking about, that through November, that'll talk about making meetings accessible. So maybe we hold off, watch that seminar and then reconvene in the December meeting to discuss next steps and roll that out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I signed up for that. When is it?
Oh, well, there's 4 of them, I think. So I thought one of them was this week, if I recall. So
Yeah, I thought it was 2, like the 6th, Lorna, you said.
I got one on
Did
the
we-
4th.
Oh, so maybe, I wonder if it's the same as, I should go look at my calendar, but it's not right here, so. I
Did we
don't-
send that out to everybody?
I just forwarded it to the 2 of you. I don't know if you forwarded it along to the
Okay,
group.
so we should,
Oh, I thought it was sent to all of us. No.
No.
Is it a repeat of the session 4 times, or is it a 4-part session? Do you know?
Yeah, it's the same
It's a
session.
repeat.
Oh, that's great, because so if you can't make it
right,
to
if
one,
we
you
make
might be able to
one.
make it.
Yeah, one's at 4 o'clock on Thursday. At least that's the one I'm planning on attending.
Bill, who's running it? Who's offering this?
The Massachusetts Office on Disabilities.
Yay.
Yeah.
So it's a Jeff and Ashley show?
I didn't catch the name of the person. I think there's a consultant that's helping out too,
Oh, great.
I believe. So, yeah.
All right, I'll get that off to people because for some reason I thought we had forwarded it. Okay, so that will be a plan. Then we'll, for those who want to attend, who can attend, and then we'll convene with the agenda item in December. To see what folks have learned, and what we can do better.
I think I signed up for the one on Tuesday, November 9th at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so that'll be the following week.
It's sponsored by the Mass Office of Disability, right?
Yep, it is.
Yeah. That's the one I signed up for.
Okay, so if we have nothing else, our last item on the agenda is an update on Intelligent Lives. And I apologize for not being able to get this out to you before the meeting. What I did, well, first, Paula, I'm going to ask you, for those folks that are not familiar with Intelligent Lives, would you like to give a little synopsis of the film and what we're proposing to do?
Sure. Right before COVID in April of 2020, we were planning on showing Intelligent Lives. And it's a movie that goes through 3 different people with disabilities and kind of all that they have to offer, what their family's experience was like. And so we plan to show that. And then we've had a lot of conversation about different topics to focus on, whether it's employment. There's a lot of study guides that the people who created the film have, and a lot of suggestions about how you could do kind of a forum like this. We've talked about panels of different people. I think we'd like the community to come to kind of raise awareness for the commission, but also to hopefully further educate people. So we're hoping that, people from the schools would come, that people from the community, business owners, again, just kind of to raise awareness.
So what I did was I went through some of the prior meetings that we had and some of the meeting minutes, and then just notes that I had taken and kind of summarized them into topics. So the purpose of this film would be to, our number one purpose was to increase the visibility of the commission, because we don't feel that a lot of folks in town know that this commission even exists and what its mission is. We wanted to educate the business community in the public to the possibilities of hiring those who are differently abled. And I think that that's what we've zoned in on will be the focus of this panel discussion after the viewing of the film. A couple of other items I noted was that tax credits are offered to employers when employing individuals with disabilities. And there are supports that are available for employers for those individuals with disabilities. In an example is the form of a job coach for many of those. The target audience that we talked about would be the local business community. We would discuss the role of our committee and the commission, and the mission of the event could be focused on educating the community, in particular the business community. Maeve, a former commission member who has since left, had suggested a follow-up networking event. But I think we kind of nixed that because we felt that that was just more of an endeavor than we wanted to get involved in. But I think we did agree that we would have a panel that would focus on employment, and it would be comprised of people with disabilities who were employed as well as the employers. We talked about potentially Communitas, the organization that Paula works for, facilitating getting the folks for the panel. We talked about the panel being 5 speakers. I think initially we thought that the panel would be a mix of individuals with different disabilities, but I think we've now determined that the focus is going to be more on employment. But I think, 5 speakers may be an adequate number, and we had talked about giving each 7 minutes to speak. Some of the employers that we listed were, new to our list: Biddy and Bose from Melrose, but we had Stop and Shop, Market Basket, Shaw's. I think I added Walgreens, CVS. Those were organizations where we know that they hire individuals with disabilities. I don't know if anybody knows of any others that they would like to add to that list. We can do that by email too. If you want to, if you think of things, you can just send it off to me. Some of the partners we thought we would work with was the Rotary. Levon has a contact on the Rotary, the Chamber of Commerce. Some of the day programs: Triangle, Communitas, American Training, Bridgewell. Somebody else mentioned Mass Advocates, Standing Strong. And then we wanted to target invitations to local businesses, such as the Savings Bank, the Cooperative Bank, Brightview, the town of Wakefield, and maybe invite members of the surrounding towns' disability commissions. And we talked about handouts, and this is what I don't recall. I know we talked about brochures, but wasn't there mentioned some kind of informational cards? Do those who were here recall that?
You're talking about brochures for the commission, not brochures for the Intelligent Lives, right?
Right, just brochures or something.
Okay, so
That
what
would
we
be
did talk
about the
about, instead of
commission.
having the brochure, but having like a bookmarker
Oh, that
that
was
we
right,
could hand out
bookmark.
with the information on the bookmarker, instead of handing out just a brochure that perhaps no one will look at except for once. But a bookmarker, they may actually look at it a few more times when they've got to take it out of their book and put it back in.
All right, so, and do you recall what we said that some of the things that should be on the bookmark? What type of information did we want to put
I thought
on
it was
there?
resources. Resources.
Well, there's a lot of resources that I think that Paula has put on our website.
So
that
maybe,
be too much on a bookmarker, but maybe the website could be put on
You
there.
could reference the website, you know, that the reference to the website. Or Bill, you were mentioning at town meeting, you're going to be handing out cards that are going to have the
QR code.
QR code. That's it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if somehow, what did I do to my Zoom? Oh, for Pete's sakes.
You're still there.
We can see you.
Yeah, can see, you can hear you.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good to know. Because I can't see you. Okay. I see my Zoom emblem. Oh, and I don't know where you guys went.
We could
All right.
definitely do the QR code though for you. That's pretty easy.
Is it?
Yeah, that's no problem. Our communications manager here can handle that. I mean, she's also going to do the cards for town meeting as well, probably by midweek. So if you have something that you want it to look like or a general idea, she can probably just do the actual bookmark too. So.
Oh, well, we'll definitely not have our act together by then, but
Oh, I meant in the future, whenever you decide.
yeah, but that's
do the-
good to
yeah.
know that there's somebody local that can do that.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
So does she create the QR code, Bill?
She does, yeah. Yeah,
No
I
kidding.
think she has an app or something that does it, so.
That's so cool.
Yeah, very neat, yeah.
So would we put the QR code on our website and then the QR code would take you to the website, or what would the QR
No.
code take you to?
Vice versa, it will take it to the websites, but what you do is you put the QR code on the bookmark itself, like on the back or on the front somewhere, and then you take a picture with it, and it'll bip up and say, oh, go to this website. So it makes it a lot easier for folks to get to the website.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that we would have a bookmark that would have, you know, Wakefield Commission on Disabilities. I don't know, we could come up with some other things we wanted on it, but then have that QR code that when they scanned it with their phone would bring them to our website. And then that's where we have all the, you know, all of the resources listed. So that way we wouldn't have to have it twice.
Oh, definitely.
Could we
Yeah,
also list on it for those people who do not have cell phones? The website anyhow?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I
you
think-
could,
yeah,
you
you
could
definitely do that.
put the website on it. You just have to type it into your computer versus
Right.
scanning it with your cell phone.
Because I know that there's several people that don't have cell phones. Couldn't live without mine now.
So, I mean, did I pretty much sum it up? I would like to talk about what are, before I forget, I should say, I said at the last meeting that I would reach out to see about securing either the Savings Bank Theater or the Galvin. And what I found in my notes was that if we use either the theater or the Galvin, that there is a fee involved that we would have to pay for they wouldn't charge us for the venue because we're considered a town organization, but we were told, at least at the time, that we would have to pay the custodial fee. And I'm not sure exactly what that is. But as I stated, we do have funds and we certainly can do that. Although when I reached out to the town manager to talk about how we access the funds, what I got back is you should investigate the AmeriCal, because that's a town building and they won't charge you. And we had done that. But after speaking to the folks with the AmeriCal, it came back that the acoustics there are such, and the screen that they're going to be able to provide us it's not going to be adequate for our needs. So I think we're going to have to move forward with either the Savings Bank Theater or the Galvin. And now, of course, there are COVID requirements that the school venues have. So we're going to have to be able to register anybody who comes and get their contact information, because should there be any kind of a COVID event, we're going to need to be able to reach everybody who is there. So I went on to the town website, to the school department website, and registered the commission. And I got an email. I needed to wait to get an email back from them that we were accepted before I can get on and actually see what dates they have available. So I did get the notice back that we have been approved to use one of their venues. So I'll take a look at that and get some more detail, and we'll just communicate by email to everybody so that we can. I think we've zoned in on sometime in April. Do we have a date? Is there, I know we certainly don't want to do it over school vacation week, but is there a date that seems to work best for people? So I can't see you folks, but I know you're there because the
Yeah.
closed caption's still going.
What night of the week are we thinking about?
Yeah, good. I mean, ideally, it would probably be our meeting night, but there again, what are we, what are we potentially going to conflict with? What other meetings, town council meetings? I guess we really need to look at the town calendar to see what else might be going on. We surely don't want to be conflicting with some big event, because then we may not get the audience.
Yeah. Also, from Friday, April 15th to well, actually right to April 24th, what we're running into is Easter, April vacation, and then Orthodox Easter. But we were not going to do it on a weekend anyhow, but we might not want to consider doing that week of when school vacation is either.
Right, I agree. Let's see if I can.
Maybe early April.
Yeah, if we were able to do it on our meeting night, that would be April 4th.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Marie, I also wanted to mention, for other reasons, I was on the youth council meeting that Bella's part of. And Bella, you mentioned maybe the youth council somehow being involved or being informed. And I didn't know what you had in mind.
So I know that like as a group, we want to do lots of projects throughout the year and just be try to make as big of an impact as possible. So we're all pretty flexible. I mean, we have other commitments obviously, but I just think that we could spread lots of awareness in the middle school, the high school, like we could make flyers, stuff like that. I could see us spreading the word around with the youth of Wakefield. So yeah.
It'd be great. Very impressive group that you have.
Yeah.
The young people at the middle school and high school, really very impressive. So I think that they'll do whatever it is that they say they're going to do. People will be voting for in the future.
What I'm also thinking is that if which would be wonderful to have the high school and the middle school involved in this, and perhaps they'd probably also want to partake in helping out that evening. Maybe we shouldn't have it on a school night.
Oh, but then that would bring us to the weekend, right?
Right. Maybe we could do it like the first Friday of that month.
I don't think having it on a school night would be a big deal. There's many events that take place after school. that high school and middle school students go to. So I don't think that should limit us.
And Paula,
I
the
actually think
screening,
yeah.
I'm sorry, the screening
No,
is
go
what, about an hour?
Right, just a little bit over.
Right, so we'd probably be limited to like till 9 PM, I think most of these events. And
Okay.
And I'm thinking if we want businesses, probably a school night is probably more realistic than a,
weekend, yeah.
yeah.
Weekend, right.
So we had already created flyers when we had, so I'll just send all this stuff out to folks so you can see what we've already done and then just get some feedback from people. We already had created flyers. At the time we had created a Facebook page, but of course that's since gone away. So we would have to ask the town to anything that we wanted to post as a commission to put on the town Facebook page, and then individuals, you can do it on your own Facebook page to get the word out. But I think we really need to focus on what this panel is going to look like. Who should be on the panel, and we said the focus was going to be employment. So do we want individual, and it seems like we want individual employers and associated employees, and what we ideally want is, positive conversation by the employee of, why it's important for them to have this job, and then, from the employer, what is it that, what are they gaining from this as well?
Would it be possible to have somebody come from Biddy and Bo to talk about their whole vision and how that started and how it's working?
I'm sure we could get somebody from, one of the owners from the restaurant to come, from the coffee shop to come, to represent Biddy and Bo's. We can get on the Biddy and Bo's website. There's tons of media coverage where they, Mr. and Mrs. Wright talk about their purpose for creating the coffee shop. And, it's a movement disguised as a coffee shop, basically, is what you're going to hear them say. But what might be interesting is to hear Mary Ann O'Donnell, who opened Biddy and Bo's in Melrose, what motivated that for her? What motivated her to purchase the franchise? Because I think she has an interesting story.
I think that'd be really interesting to hear. It's for folks that don't know what it's about or don't even know it exists, and it would also help promote the business. I think that'd be a win-win.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what it's going to be is if we can get these employers to attend, because those really are the ones that need to hear this story and see this film. It's the employers, because what Biddy and Bo's is saying is, they're running a business. It's a true business model, but they took the time and the effort to make adaptions for these individuals to be able to be employed there. And it's just about being creative. And I think that's what the business community needs to hear. I think that that the town of Wakefield could be doing a better job themselves. Certainly we have coffee shops here in town. There's the models right there. But I think once other businesses see that model, they start to think about how can I adapt my business, to be able to employ some of these folks. And I think that's what we're going for here.
And there are a whole lot of help wanted signs up.
Right, there are, and there are a whole lot of individuals with disabilities who are not employed that would love to be. And they just need to be given a chance.
Right, and it's people that not necessarily have intellectual disabilities too that could be employed, that often get, rejected. There's a high unemployment rate within the deaf and hard of hearing community, and I'm sure that there's a high unemployment rate, within the visual impairment community and mental health community. And it's just labels and stigmas get slapped on people, and people then become more afraid because they just don't understand it.
Okay, so what are the next steps then? What is it that we need to do next? I'll secure the location and we'll zone in on a date. We'll do that, as a team. And we can do that by email, but we're gonna need to divide and conquer, I think, and break the tasks down so we can move this forward. So what do we think are the next steps?
I was thinking of that we should look at the flyer and to see if it's still relevant to what we're planning and if it needs to be updated, and then maybe see if there's something in addition to that, like a letter or something we would want to write to attach to it for businesses to kind of entice them to come.
So basically an invitation to the businesses.
Right, like one that was specifically geared toward them.
Paula, you were the one that made up the flyers the last time, I think, right?
Right. But it's more of a flyer. I like the idea of an invitation. I think we need both, but I'm just thinking to entice people to come. I think that's a great next step too. I think we do have to think about those 5 people and exactly who they are and see if they're available.
So we have Marion O'Donnell from Biddy and Bow. So I'm wondering if maybe that would be 2, right? And she identifies an employee. So there's 2 individuals. What's another employer?
What about, who was the other one besides Biddy and Bowes?
We didn't come up with one, I don't think.
Oh.
Right, I'll just tell you who in our brainstorming session.
Oh, because I was thinking of, Shaw's is right here in town, and I know
Yeah.
that at least one person I know that is hired and has worked there for some time now.
Mhm.
Yeah. That could be, so that would be, we would have to reach out to Shaw's and see who, if there was a manager or who's their advocate, I guess, there.
I work at Shaw's actually, and I know that whenever people ask for like donations or for Shaw's to like fund anything, it has to go to the store director, which right now is Matt Provo. So you'd have to talk to him. I think you can email him. I'm not sure his exact address right now, but yeah, it goes through him, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
And Bill, what
What about Market Basket? Did we already talk about them?
I've got them on the list. Bella, can
Yeah.
I just ask you, Matt, what was his title?
Matt Provo, Provost. That's his last name.
Okay, and what is he's a manager there?
He's the store director, so he was
Store
like,
director.
yeah, he's in charge of the Wakefield Shaws.
Okay.
Would it be helpful to have a contact with, I'm not sure if Northeast Arc has like a connection with a job coaching, whether it's an employer or if there's a, I'm not really sure where the job coaching comes from, but where they could be a liaison between the employer and the employee. They explain how they make it seamless and how they help out in that process. I'm not sure if that would help.
Yeah, Communitas has their
Right.
career development program where they have job coaches that go out with consumers to
Okay,
help
so-
break down jobs, things like that. Mhm.
So as we're talking, we've got two employers, Biddy and Bose and Wakefield Shaws. And we've we're saying that there may be, it would be relevant to have a job coach from one of these day programs to speak about supports that they could provide to the employer.
Mhm.
I think that would be great, because if you're really trying to increase jobs, I think most employers have no idea that there is such a thing as job
Right,
coaches.
right. I
It would
agree.
help out.
Janice.
And I think that maybe would start to potentially break down some barriers, and make some nice warm referrals with folks and have, Communitas materials and all. And having, if that networking were to happen after, it would be, come on up after and we can explain more about the program or reach out. But I love that idea. I think that'd be a great idea.
And that could conceivably be our 5 individuals. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
does
great.
That seem
great.
like enough? It doesn't seem like it's too unwieldy. You'd have two employee examples, and then you would have the perspective of the job coach and how they would provide supports to the employer. That to me seems like that would be useful information for an employer that, might be giving this a thought.
Absolutely.
Okay,
can-
so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I can find a job coach. I have a couple of people in mind.
So now let's strategically think now who would be the individuals that we would want to personally invite. In our prior discussions, as I mentioned, we had the Savings Bank, the Co-op Bank, Brightview, Town of Wakefield. Who else in town? If we stay focused in Wakefield, I guess is probably what we should do.
When you say town of Wakefield, are you also including the school department?
Yeah, we probably should break that down. I'm thinking town hall. But yeah, I think,
I think the school department, Lorna, I think that's a good idea.
yeah,
And why not invite the Voc people too, if we're gonna try to
yeah.
go down that road a little bit?
And when we say school department, realistically, let's think. So again, the same young man that I spoke to you about is working within our school department. He got on the job training skills when the Voc couldn't provide him the supports he needed, and he's been in the district for a handful of years now as an not as a true employee. Let me just put it to you that way. So I think that it behooves us to definitely target the school department here so that they can see how other employers have become creative with things like this. So who else? School department, vote.
With the high school level for the special ed department, don't they incorporate job train, vocational skills into the curriculum at a high school age?
They do. It's called, Wakefield has, but it's called the POST program here in Wakefield for 18 to 22-year-olds. Those folks, they don't need education. What they need is they need employers to step up and take these kids. They're constantly knocking on doors to try to get not necessarily paid opportunities for the post students, but just, you know, opportunities for them to go into businesses, and they run into a lot of roadblocks with that. I wonder if one of those post teachers wouldn't make sense as being a panel member. I don't know, to talk about the roadblocks.
Especially if we're going to talk about the school committee, that might be helpful. If we're going to target people in schools, to have a school representative there, it's a good idea.
Yep. So now who are some, I mean, does a savings bank and co-op bank, do they make sense as potential employers? I mean, I can see where there could be jobs at Brightview where,
Even just the shredding for some people at the banks could be
Okay.
a job, or the again, like the maintenance, just like recycling, emptying garbage cans, vacuuming, would have to be the right person. You know, I also have some people who work at like various like dentist office or smaller offices, kind of collecting recycling and doing cleaning and things like that. So I think Brightview, they could definitely employ a lot of people, but I'm even thinking just kind of one small business at a time, even if everybody employed somebody 2 to 4 hours a week. It's not a huge expense, but it could give somebody a job and, you know, kind of that experience and all the other great things that, you know, having a person with a disability on their team could bring.
right. And I mean, certainly if we're going to have the imposed, we could invite the other coffee shops in town,
Right.
because the model's pretty simple. And it's not copywritten, you know, anybody can replicate that. And,
Right.
you know, we talked about the, this is probably where the Rotary or the Chamber, you know, would come in. Because the Rotary has businesses, right? Is that, am I correct in that? And then,
The chamber would have most of the businesses. They'd have contact information. They have like an email blast that they use amongst themselves.
okay,
We can probably get access to that through the community development director. She, you know, she's done that for other things that I want to get out to the business community. So maybe if
okay,
you've had a notice or what you're trying to say, you know, obviously you want them to attend the event, but at least maybe to drum up some thoughts and see if they'd be interested. You know, I bet that you could get, rather than trying to think of every conceivable, you know, job. I mean, half the jobs we don't even know what they're doing in some of these businesses. So
right,
it could be another
exactly.
one that you're not even thinking of. So I would suggest maybe trying to blast it out through, you know, that email list as a starter. Because I mean, I think I want to say it's like 75 or 80% of the businesses in town that
In
are on.
town. So
Yeah.
the community development director is who
Erin?
is,
Erin Kokinda is her name.
She's employed by the town of Wakefield.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so she's a Wakefield, okay. Okay,
What was her name again? The closed
Erin?
caption and didn't get it.
Erin Kokinda, Kokinda, I think.
yeah, that looks right.
You buy that? All right.
I'll buy that. Seeing where I can't even see what's going on and I'm just, flying by the seat of my pants here.
There you
But we're making progress and that's all that matters. Okay, so I think we've got a lot of good information. I think what we need to do is what Levon suggested and we need to get, I'll send out the flyer to everybody so that you can see it, but we need to get a letter or an invitation, if that's what we're going to call it, going so that that's what we would, I think, want to give to Erin. So
Yep.
that, when she's communicating to the businesses, she's not only explaining about the movie, the film and what it's about, but what our intent is in the panel discussion that's intended that we really want them to participate in afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, in all likelihood, you probably could get a head count by going that route. If it's messaged right,
Right, and that's the other thing, Bill. We're going to have to set up some kind of automated system for people to register. Do we do that in town? For-
Yeah, we have things. I mean, I have an online form that people can fill out that I could customize for this.
Oh, I'm so glad you attended this meeting today.
Yeah, it's working out well for me. I'm adding a lot of things to the plate, but it's good. Good stuff, though.
Well, you
it's-
can
it's
task
really
us,
heavy.
you just gotta give us the direction on where to go, what to look, you send me a link, we'll figure it out, but,
Well, I'm just joking. No, it's no problem at all. It's not a heavy lift at all. It's definitely not a heavy lift. Yeah.
all right, so I'm putting Bill will assist, registration. Okay,
Marie, when the time comes, I'd be happy to help with
with the what, I'm sorry, Janice?
the bookmarks.
Oh, okay, yep. Yeah, let's see what cards, I'll grab some cards from town meeting. Once they're created and I can scan it and send it off to everybody so you can look at it. Maybe that will, kickstart our imagination to decide, figure out what we want this thing to look like.
And once I have the draft of it, I'll send it over to you folks so you can share it if you want to try to, pick and choose parts of whatever she creates.
Okay, that would be great. Okay, so what else?
Is town meeting this Saturday,
It is.
Yes,
8 to 12 or something like that?
Sounds right.
Yeah.
bright and early.
Bright and early. Not a lot of articles though. You only have 8.
Yeah,
8 or
I
9.
think that's great. So I bet we won't be there till noon.
I hope not.
I think it'll be very quick. All right, well, it's 8:35. I don't want to keep folks any longer. If I think we made a lot of good progress with this. Does anybody else have any other thoughts, comments? Well, if not, then I will adjourn the meeting at 8:35. Does somebody want to?
I'll second it.
Second, thank you. And I don't know what's going to happen. You're all going to have to hang up and hopefully I'll get back to the Zoom and I'll be able to end it.